It's the Golfi Real Estate Show. And of course, it's Rob Golfi with REMAX, the Golfi Team. My name's Tim Dennis. For another week's look at what's going on in the real estate world. And another week and another ton of stuff to talk about with interest rates and all kinds of things. There were political leaders going through the area talking about building houses. And we'll get to all of that as we go through this program this week. But let's talk about what this last week has been for you, sir.
So, you know what? There's we're starting to see some offers now on conditional and sale of properties, and agents are in a little bit of a dilemma because some properties you're not getting that much action on, and you really don't want to take an offer conditionally waiting for somebody else to sell their house so that they can firm up on yours, because you don't know if they're going to price that house right. And you kind of like, but if you're not getting any action, you got got nothing else, you roll the dice and say, okay, we'll work with this offer. But the other biggest thing that we're seeing right now is a lot of sellers right now that bought last year in the first quarter of last year, and we know what happened in the first quarter last year. Like the market just went like right through the roof and just hit like huge numbers. And those people that bought last year, some of them probably bought and, because of pressure of being in multiple offers or whatever, they ended up buying something because they needed a house. And it may not be the right house for them. And now they want to sell. And this is the tough part, is selling their house and trying to get them the money that they paid for, which is not going to happen. It just, unless they got a good deal back last year. But like we have this one couple, they purchased for $1.2 million in February of 2022. A peak, like we're talking like the next one more step, you would have fallen off the cliff. That's how they were at the very peak. And so they tried selling their house with another agent at 1.3. They're hoping they can break even. And they kept calling me, and I said, "Hey guys, you're under contract. I can't discuss anything. If it doesn't go through, call me, and then when it expires." So they call me, and so I go and see them, right? And I know they want to list the house with me, and I'm going there, and I'm going, these guys, they're going to be disappointed what I have to say, because I'm going there with the intent of this is the price. And it's just their price is not going to work out. So I said to them, I go, 1.1 million, you're pushing it. So that's telling them it's $100,000 less than what they paid for it a year ago, plus the fees and the costs and everything to close the deal. So they could be down $150,000 to $200,000 on this sale of theirs. Yep. And they're going, and I just said to them, look, I go, I could be wrong, but I'm usually pretty good on the numbers. And I said to them, get another opinion and get a second opinion. I said, look, don't call top realtors. Don't call realtors that are trying to get your business and they're going to give you a high number. I says, call top realtors will give you the real number. And then you'll know if my number is legitimate number to tell you. And they go, we can't do that. And then on top of that, they've bought another house conditionally on selling this, and they approached the people privately, and what they did was, chances are they're overpaying for that now and in today, because those people said, hey, you want to buy my house? This is how much I want. And so they probably put a premium on that. So I don't know if it's going to happen. I haven't got a call back saying, okay, we're going to do this regardless. And I said to them, why don't you renegotiate on the house that you're buying? But I don't know if I'll get it. I don't know if they're going to go through with the other sale. They may have to sit around and wait till things turn around and pick up. And you know what I mean? It's a tough situation, Tim. It's tough. It's hard telling somebody that their house is worth less, because that's not the norm. But we just went through this crazy
So,
market.
how long do you think people in that kind of situation are going to have to wait? They bought a house when the market was absolutely at its top, as you pointed out. A house that these days is worth 600,000. They paid 8. Who knows? A year ago, year and a half ago. How long do you think people are going to have to wait in order for that house to, or for the market to catch up to the price again?
I think probably another couple years. I think another couple years because it was an anomaly that we just went through there last year, and but that's not bad though. Like I mean, but it'll start going through again. Like for instance, like in 2017. When it skyrocketed in the spring, same thing, and then it dropped throughout the year, but it bounced back within 2 years. 2 years. Now this one's a little bigger spike that we had than 2017, but in a couple of years, it will come back, and either And now here's the thing: if you hold on and wait till you got the break even point where you bought and sold and you got the same amount of money. The house that you're looking at buying is going to be more money. So I don't like it's harder to rip the Band-Aid off and take the loss because that's equity of your money in your pocket that you use to put as a down payment towards the house. Now you're going to lose that, but then you go into the next house, you will gain equity in the next 2 years. And because you're buying that house at today's market value. But it's crazy. So here's a dilemma. Here's a dilemma I have. So I bought a stock in, I think just before about 18 months ago. And, a friend of mine said, hey, Rob, this is a good stock. So I did it. Never do that again. But anyway, never buy a stock. And somebody says, go buy it. And so I bought the stock and I put a lot of money into it and it's down 26%. Okay. So I'm floating around the idea whether do I pull out, take the 20% loss, and put that into real estate because I'll make my money faster putting it into real estate, whatever I have left, than waiting for this stock to catch up to the break-even point or rise. So I'm in that dilemma right now. I don't know what to do. But I am going to make a decision, and whenever I got a feeling my decision is I'm going to pull it out and just put it into the real estate because I think for me real estate's always been good ever since the day I turned 20 years old when I bought my first property and till this day. All the real estate that I've purchased in my entire adult life, I basically probably broke even on 2 purchases and sales. That's it. Everywhere else, I've made money right through my entire adult life. So I'm thinking, stick to what you know, stick to what you've done, and do that. And that's what I'm looking at myself too.
Well, I mean, we're heading into another. Well, last week we saw the interest rate go up again, and I know you had some stats about interest rates in previous years when we were in financial trouble. I mean, talking about recessions and where we are now. And they were pretty eye-opening.
Yes. So, okay, are we heading into a recession? Recessions are kind of a readjustment. It's not a reset. It's just a readjustment. What's going to happen here is, the definition, when inflation increases, which we have, central banks raise interest rates to slow the economy with the goal of bringing down inflation. So with higher interest rates, the probability of a recession increases, leading to layoffs. I know a trucking company that makes transport truck trailers laid off 50% of their staff. They would make them for Amazon and other large trucking companies. So for them to lay off because they're not getting as many orders, chances are there's not much stuff being transported across the country. So that tells me goods are being kind of a little bit slowed down. So when people are not buying as much, right, because they got to pay the mortgage because now interest rates have more than doubled since they like especially people that that locked in, 5 years ago at 2.5%. Now they're at 5.5% for renewal on their mortgage. Those people's mortgages went up $500 to $1,000, $2,000 a month. They are not going to go to restaurants. They're not going to buy those extra little things that that they don't need. They're going to buy only what they need to live. So you're going to find that the consumer goods, like the manufacturing and everything else, is going to start slowing down, laying off until things get back to normal. And I think that's what's going to happen. In 2009, we had a little bleep of a recession. So for instance, in 1981, 1982, so the early 1980s recession, in 1981, the prime rate was 19.29%. Can you imagine that?
I remember it.
Oh my God! You know what? That's crazy. That's like buying a house on the credit card, and it's insane. Like, I mean, if we saw that today, we'd be real estate values would definitely drop. So in 1990 to 92 recession, so early 1990s recession, prime rate was 14.06%.
Yep.
That's okay. So that's pretty strong too. Like, it's pretty strong. Okay. In 2008-9 recession, that was a global financial crisis. So 2008 prime rate was 6.23%. We're almost there now, if not there already. So, and the 2008-9 was a bleep, right? But now the current prime rate now is 6.95 to 7.2. So the last recession that we've had was 13 years ago. Now, in the past, recessions usually happened every 7 to 10 years. We've been going a long time. So prior to 2008-9, the last recession was the early 90s. So we went a long way without a recession. So either governments are getting smarter, that's why there's not much of a recession. They're longer, it's more longer, but prolonged. But I truly feel that things are going to change, but it's not going to be as bad as people feel. The only people who are going to feel it are the people that their mortgage renewals are coming up and their mortgage payments are going to be $500 to $1,000, $1,500 more a month, depending how big their mortgage is. And then it's just going to be probably a 6 to 9 month recession. Could be a year, and then things will start climbing back up again and everything else. But yeah, Tim, I don't know, like it's, but the real estate usually maintains its price through a lot of these recessions. Like we went through that adjustment last year, and now the real estate did climb a little bit from December, January. So things, it's hard to tell.
Is it tougher for you in your business right now to say to people, real estate never goes down? You're never going to lose in real estate, because that's what we have always been saying. But the last year has been a little different than that. And I think what I hear you say is just wait a little longer and, it's all going to even out. But what are you hearing back from people when you say that?
Yeah, like I always say, real estate homes double every 10 years, right? So we just went through a total, the last 3-4 years of total something that we haven't experienced ever. So we went through a pandemic, interest rate, rise in real estate, inflation. We went through so much stuff that we're everything's being thrown at us. So things are going to change, but I still think real estate's always the best investment. I'm buying. So I purchased. Okay, we're the one on Lake Street I was telling you about, that building. Now I'm in negotiations on another place that I knocked on their door and asked them if they were interested in selling, and I'm working the details on that. Now, am I worried that there's a recession next year, that maybe there could be a little bit of a price adjustment in the purchase price? Yes, I a little bit, but I'm a long-term investor, so I don't care what the price is. Plus, I'll have income coming in from the properties that will support it. The one thing is if you own apartment buildings, they're recession-proof because everybody needs a roof over their head.
Yep. Although a lot of tenants are saying it's getting tougher and tougher to afford the rents. But I mean, that's one of the problems that goes along with this.
That's right. That's right.
And I want to bring up a subject that's been in the news as much as anything else over the past, well, few months, really. And that's artificial intelligence, AI. And every business, every industry, every form of business these days is talking about AI and how it affects them. What about the real estate business, Rob? I mean, people, I would think, want a human touch when it comes to buying a house, your biggest purchase.
Absolutely. I mean, AI, artificial intelligence, is good to a certain degree. Now, it's good to help you search. It's good to help you get stats. It's good to help. It helps realtors write their realtor remarks. Like, you know what I mean? So I'll punch up in, all the details of this house, and I say, hey, make this sound so attractive that somebody cannot refuse to buy it. So, so we use that. A lot of realtors are using that. And, but I think you still need the human touch. There's no way somebody can, put all the information in, purchase a house without having some kind of human interaction in knowing what the market's like. Like we deal with feelings. We deal with what the public's going on. AI doesn't have that. AI doesn't have what is happening in general with the consumers thinking or their what they're feeling. That's what the realtor has. Like, if I'm going in and looking at a house and I'd be talking to the buyer and I say, hey, listen, you know what? I got a good feeling about this. I think you should go for it. AI can't do that. AI may say, well, nope, this doesn't make sense. Now, if you're buying it for yourself personally, you know what I mean? That's where that touchy-feely, loving feeling you get when you walk into the house, right? You can't get feelings with AI. AI is good for commercial. You put all the numbers in and you put, and then you could say, hey, does this make sense? Do the numbers work? And an AI may end up having you walk away from deals. A lot of entrepreneurs, when they're buying investment properties, a lot of that times the numbers don't work, but they still become ahead of the game down the road because they took the risk and it works. A lot of entrepreneurs that, started companies, everybody would tell them, don't do it. It's not good. And guess what? They become multimillionaires or billionaires today. Mm-hmm. So AI cannot give you that. People, personal, can. And
do you think people are ready to make one of the biggest purchases they're ever going to make in their lifetime and never speak to a human and rely on algorithms and robots to handle all that? You think people are ready for that?
You know what? I'll tell you. Zillow is a company in the U.S., and they're like Realtor.ca. And they bought a ton of homes, thousands of homes in the U.S. They lost a fortune. They lost $500 million doing it. They did. Because they just went by AI. Okay, let's buy these, let's buy these, let's buy these. They just went by computers and say, okay, buy this one, buy this one. And they were going by assessments and they say, okay, this is a good deal. So they were grabbing all the information, the property assessments, the other houses that were sold in the area and everything, and they just bought, whether it was too high or whatever. They just bought. Then after, all of a sudden, they're going, wait a minute, we lost a fortune here. So I would not depend on AI. You need people regardless. And I know there's people would say, no way, we can do this without realtors. Yeah, you can. But realtors know the feel and the pulse of the market better than anybody else because they're doing it every day. AI doesn't have the pulse. They just give you numbers. And markets change week by week. And when a market changes, for instance, I know the market better than the real estate board knows it because they get their numbers towards the end of the month and they calculate everything all together and say, this is what the last month was in the market. Well, I'm in the market. I know what the market is now. I'm in it. I'm in the trenches. And we do enough business that we can figure out what the market's like. I know the market within 3 days if it's changed. I can tell you that. Now, most realtors, they won't know that for probably 3 weeks or more. So, and I do get a lot of calls from other realtors say, "Hey, Rob, what's going on with the market?" And I said, "Yeah, last week there was a slight downturn, and it's still there." Like they're finding that, like using me as a kind of information process because they want to verify if it is slow or if it is fast.
Okay, big question. And you get it all the time. And it's easy for me to ask because I'm not in the business. Can you still buy a bargain in Canada, in Ontario, in Niagara? Are there bargains to be had?
There are. You'd be surprised. Sometimes I see a property and I'm like, wow, that's a good deal. Like, and then like if it comes across my desk, and I can't buy everything, right? I mean, you're only limited to so much what you can afford to buy, but like for investments or just a regular residential house, like if you see something come up, you say, hey, I'll tell my team, say, look, there's a property that just came up for sale. It's not our listing, but listen, tell your clients, there's one there that I saw that I think it's a great price. Get them in there. And because it's not going to last. There are good deals out there. They come up every once in a while, and you're picking them up probably just below market value. But a lot of houses, if you price it right, they'll end up full price or more. But if you price it, sometimes some people price it, they want it gone, and nobody really sees it. And if you're the first one there to get in, and you buy it right away and lock it up, and then it's yours. But there are deals out there, and you just gotta keep an eye on the market. That's it. There are deals.
Are there places in Niagara, for instance, that are more likely to have bargains than others, or is the whole region kind of in the same boat?
Yeah, I'd say the whole region, but you know what? Like there was one in Niagara Falls one time I saw, and I said, this is a good deal. I go, you know what? And I may go take a look at this. You know what I mean? St. Catharines has a lot of good deals out there. Welland. It just, there are good deals. To me, I look at St. Catharines, Niagara Falls, Thorold. Those are my hot spots for Niagara when I'm purchasing. And I just because I know the market always increases in those different cities and towns, and I buy. That's where I'll buy. And yeah, and there's deals. You know what? I'm going to tell you. I'm an investor. Even if it's not a deal, if it's market value, I don't care, because in 10 years it's going to be worth double. So I'm not going to, look at it and say, you know what, I paid $10,000 too much, or I paid $50,000 too much. But if you hang on to it, that $50,000 is going to make you $500,000. That, like sometimes don't jump over the dollars to save the pennies. You know what I mean? Like sometimes people are like, oh, they're trying to, nickel and dime, and all of a sudden they just lost out on a deal that, in the future it could be good. Now I know some properties I purchased, I way overpaid, but it was the right one for me, and I'm cleaning it up, fixing it up, and I'll make money. Like I said, in my entire adult life, I've never lost money. 2 out of all the properties I purchased in my entire adult life, I broke even, which is not bad. And those broke even were one that I think both of them were in recessions. So and one was in the 90s, and another one not that long ago, and I just bought and flipped it over. And one was a guarantee sale that I did, and I just broke even on it. So like I said, my track record on real estate has been pretty good, and I know it, and I'm going to stick with it.
There was a real estate listing last week that people saw that really kind of made them perk up their ears, because it wasn't a home as much as it was a parking spot. We all know that parking can be expensive, but if you live in Toronto, there was one parking spot in particular that sold for more than some of the houses that were for sale. Does that surprise you?
You know what? I could see that. This is how insane condo developers and cities and municipalities are. Like this place sold for what was it? 179,000 was it for a parking spot on a condo on St. Joseph Drive or something like that? 179,000. Now, the reason why it sold so much because there's not enough parking in that condo complex. And so like I will, if I'm a condo investor or if I was moving into one, there's no way I would buy it without a parking spot. So a lot of these people that in Toronto, you can live without a car because everything's, you got all the transit and everything, the subway and everything else. But in Niagara, you need a car. There's nothing close. But they are building condos maybe for one parking spot for each condo. But most people they're living with a partner. You need 2 parking spots. And there's not enough. So people are driving. They're putting one car in their parking spot maybe, and they're putting another one down the street, around the block, and halfway down to the next neighborhood. And it's ridiculous. Like, I don't know why the cities are allowing this. Like, I know of one apartment building. I'm not sure how many units are there. Now, beautiful building. This guy built it, and there's not enough parking spots. And he tried to buy the property next door to it. I tried to buy it, and I didn't get it. He didn't get it. Somebody else got it, so I don't know what happened there. And because it had a lot of parking. But this guy will have a hard time renting this apartment building out because he's only got enough parking for half of the units in there. And half units are only one parking spot per unit. So where are these all other people going to go? Like, why don't they make these guys build more parking spots for whatever apartment building or condo complexes, especially in smaller municipalities like, Guernsey, Beamsville, anywhere in the Lincoln area and St. Catharines. I mean, St. Catharines at least got a city, but when you're in those small areas and you have no parking, you're in trouble. So
how would you feel, honestly, if you're sitting in the office one day, somebody calls you or comes into the office and says, I want you to handle my deal. I have a parking space that I want to sell. What would you say?
I go, really? I go, seriously? Is this a joke? I don't know.
Yeah.
But you know what the crazy thing about this parking thing? It has, what's ridiculous about the price tag about this thing is that the buyer must pay $300 per year for property taxes on this parking spot.
On the parking spot.
On the parking spot. Plus, listen to this, $94 a month for maintenance fees on top. This thing's got a life of its own. And like that parking spot isn't cheap. Like I wish this guy probably wishes he had probably 20 of those in that parking garage. But parking is becoming a big issue. And they're building a lot of these buildings with not enough parking.
Yep.
And I don't know why they're doing that because you're going to see cars driving around in circles around the block waiting for somebody to leave their parking spot. It's not good, not good at all.
This is a subject you don't hear about every day. A little while ago, there was a court case about it was in Saskatchewan where somebody was trying to sell tons and tons of flax, all right, a grain. And they tried to do it online, and the one person said to the other, just confirm that this contract is good with you. And the other person texted back a thumbs up emoji. And they ended up going to court, and the court ruled that the thumbs up was equivalent to a signature. Now, the real estate business, how close to that are we with the real estate business? Could you actually use an emoji to sign a real estate? I mean, how realistic do they want the signatures in real estate, Rob?
You know what? Real signatures, we use a program called DocuSign. Right. And sometimes it says we'll make your signature for you, or you can do it yourself. There's a spot for it. And so a lot of people, have it made up by the DocuSign system.
Yep.
So I wouldn't doubt that you can use an emoji if there is if there's a way to put it on there, that an emoji, it could be a signature. Absolutely. Because emojis are expressions of, instead of writing it or whatever, it's an expression of, yes, happy expression, sad expression, thumbs up, thumbs down, all that kind of thing. Yeah, I could see that we're coming into a society where emojis are going to be part of our signature or part. So yeah, you can get sued. You can get sued on anything. Somebody tried to sue me because I had my arms wide open. So I mean, like, and it cost me thousands and thousands of dollars to defend that. And I think, I think that guy.
I mean, there was a time, wasn't there, not long ago, Rob, where everything had to be what they called a wet signature, and you couldn't even do it by fax. And then that changed a few years ago, right?
Yeah, it did. That's right, because they wanted original copies. Even lawyers now can do DocuSign. Some banks will accept it, some don't, but I'd say probably all banks will accept it probably within 2 to 5 years. That'll be part of the signature. So lawyers people don't even have to meet the client. As long as they show by Zoom their ID on the Zoom that they're seeing it and showing it. I don't think, I think DocuSign, like these electronic signatures, are going to be a thing of what everybody's doing. Your email is your personal address. That is who you are. Now, like, I've been using my same email for I don't know how many years now. It's been forever. But that is like my signature. So if I send something to somebody and that's a legal document. Like, so I'll give you a perfect example. For instance, we have a system. If you're putting a deal together, right? And you got the deal together. Now you've got a couple of conditions: financing and inspection. So let's say your financing inspection is up at 5:00 today. Well, let's say at 4:30, you send an email to the other agent saying, hey, we are firming up. Consider this as an email, us firming up on this deal. I will have proper paperwork later on today or tomorrow, but we'll recognize this email as a firm deal now. Now, that is a legal document. Even though you don't have the right document that we use for real estate, but that agent sent that to the other agent indicating this is a firm deal. Now, that other agent, this is a true story, this happened. That other agent didn't, recognize that as a legal document and sold the house to somebody else. So basically, without saying that this person has to be released from that agreement.
Yep.
So this agent sold this house to two people. And guess who won? The person that sent the email that said this is a firm deal. That agent didn't want to recognize that as a legal document. The judge did. And guess what? So then she ends up getting sued, the agent, because of the fact that she didn't have the proper wording in the documentation. She should have said on the second offer, conditional being released from a prior agreement of purchase and sale. So that ended up tying up the homeowner, which ended up suing the agent that they used.
Wow.
So I could see emojis being part of signatures down the road.
Boy. Scary thoughts in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
All right, let's move ahead to something that happened here in Niagara this past week. The leader of the opposition in Canada, Pierre Poilievre, toured through the Niagara area and brought up a fact that a lot of people might not know. Obviously, housing is a big issue politically right now, but a lot of people might not know that we have fewer houses per capita than any of the G7 countries. And this situation isn't going to get any better fast. What did you take, as a real estate person, what did you take from Mr. Poilievre's tour of Niagara and his ideas for solving the housing crisis?
I actually like him. He speaks well. I truly believe that he knows we need to do something. And and he knows there is a shortage of homes. We're still bringing a lot of immigrants to the country, which is fantastic because that's what this country's built on. But let's get the housing in order. Let's get this thing going. And he says we got to build a lot of houses. He wants to a lot of federal buildings. He wants to sell them off, convert them into housing. I'm not sure how they'll do that.
Yeah.
But the one thing is, says cities, if they don't increase the building permits by 15% a year, they will lose their federal grants, which is good. Like let's get this thing going. Like right now, builders, they're on a little bit of a standstill. They're not building as many homes as they were. But immigrants are still piling into this country. So we got a standstill on housing being built right now because of interest rates, because of what's going on in the economy. But then we got a flood of people still coming in. Where are they going to go? And that's why rent is so expensive. That's why housing's so expensive, because there's more people than there is housing. And it's going to be like that for a long time. Tim, I'm telling you.
What are you hearing from Mr. Poilievre that is different, though, than what you've heard from other politicians? Every politician has jumped on this over the past 6 months and says, we need more homes. This is why we're doing this. Doug Ford says, we need more homes. This is what we're going to do to build them. Justin Trudeau says, we need more homes. This is what we're going to do, and tell the provinces and the regions to build more homes. What is Mr. Poilievre saying that's any different?
He just, he's not saying anything different. It's just, is anybody doing anything about it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we need something done. And I know that Doug Ford was saying that they wanted to have the mayor to have more power in making decisions on getting things going with this housing market.
The super mayor's powers.
The super mayor's power. And there's too much, 50% say yes, the other 50% say no. So that means nothing can be done. We need somebody to take charge and say, listen, we need to build a lot of houses. Let's go. Let's make this thing happen. Now, if they're going to give grants to different cities and municipalities that they're building more houses, go for it. Why? I know we're trying to protect the land, but why now we're trying to protect the land? We didn't protect the land for the last 250 years. Now all of a sudden we're protecting the land now. Well,
if we know better, we do better, right?
That's right. But it just, I think they just, I don't know. They've got to do something. They got, everybody's just talking and blowing smoke, but something's got to happen. And
is there, I mean, you're a guy that deals with real estate daily, every part of his life. Is there a thing that federal governments, local governments, provincial governments could do right now to get more houses built? Everybody says, okay, we need to do this, that, and the other thing. What about somebody in the business like you? What do you do to build more homes?
You got to give a ton of incentives for builders to say, we will give you grants, we'll give you loans, interest-free loans, but you and no levies, or not levies, but no taxes on every house. But you have to pass the savings on to the consumer. You can't profit that. If they do that, and then maybe they should say, hey, listen, if you buy a new house, your interest rate for a certain amount of time will be a lot, maybe 1% less. You don't want to do too much, because that's what got the United States in trouble with the subprime mortgages. Right. But there's got to be incentives for people to buy new homes, because that's what you need. So every time a consumer buys a new home, so either they're leaving the current house they're in and buying a new house, or a first-time buyer is buying a new house. So you fulfilled the first-time buyer, but when you have a second-time buyer buying, that means there's another house available for somebody else to buy. So maybe you have an incentive for, people moving and buying a house, because every time you sell a house to a second-time, third-time, fourth-time buyer, that means there's another house available. You know what I mean? So we need to do something just to pick up the amount of homes. Right now, what they are doing, and they're scrambling, is they're allowing, basement apartments, laneway apartments. They're allowing, because there's no other way to speed that process up. But
they're allowing 2 and 3 homes in places where there used to be just room for one, right? Everybody's everybody's consolidating and infilling.
And there's going to be a parking issue in this infilling. Like there is already a parking issue. Like, I mean, especially in the wintertime, it's tough. You know, these snow plows are going down like, oh my God, I can't hardly fit this plow down this road. So, you know, we'll figure it out another time. And then meanwhile, now you're stuck trying to get out of your street. But they've got to figure something out to start building these new homes. Maybe they got to buy the land, develop it themselves, and hire companies to build it. So say, hey, we're going to pay you this much money, build these. Like there should be a subdivision of tiny homes. They did that after the wartime. Remember, they had to build a lot of houses because everybody came back from the war. They're starting to get jobs here. The market, the economy was booming. They needed houses fast. They built wartime houses, and they built a lot of them.
Oh, and people are still buying and selling them.
That's right. That's right.
They were built really solidly, a lot of them. Every week, Rob talks about common mistakes that home sellers make when selling. And this week, an interesting issue because a lot of people have pets. And I want you to talk a little bit about one of the mistakes that people make when they're selling their homes when it comes to the dogs, the cats, or whatever else, and not putting them away or hiding them away or at least putting them in the basement.
You know, I'll tell you, pets are not a problem. If you have a house with a lot of carpet, it could be a problem for a lot of people if they're allergic to cats. But here's the thing, like, clean out the cat litter, or don't you don't want a person that does not have a dog, or even if they have a dog, you don't want them walking into the house smelling, you know, a litter box, or smelling a bad smell from maybe the dog. You know, maybe he does his business in the basement, and it just goes right through the house. Clean that up. Get your house deodorized. Get it going. You want top dollar for your house. That's what everybody wants. They want top dollar for their house. That's what they say, but they don't. Sometimes they're not willing to do it. People, clean up. Clear that cat litter. Don't let your dogs do their mess in the basement because it's easy and convenient for you. Let them outside. And if you have a dog, like, make sure you don't see signs of a dog. Okay, if there's a dog bowl, that's fine. It's okay. But you know what people mostly say? They see a dog bowl and they go, I would never have guessed there's a pet in this house. Yeah. And that's what you want people to say. But you don't want them to say, as soon as they open up, oh, they got a bad dog or a cat.
I'm never going to get rid of that smell. I mean, if you have a pet and you're running an open house, do you tell the pets to, you know, have a holiday for a couple of days and send them to the Caribbean? Do you keep them in the house? What's the best way to do it?
Leave the house. Go. Leave the house. You do an open house, make sure there's nothing in the house. Not even a bird, not even a talking parrot. Get them out. Get them out. Get them out of the house. Because you don't want them. You don't want them in the house. You know, because some people don't want to know that there was a pet living there. To them, they look at it as an animal. I know I have a dog, and I love my dog, and great. But if I'm selling my house, people won't know I have a dog. Guess what? He's gone every time. If I'm selling my house, he's gone.
Yeah, that's the trick. You know, make it a big surprise that you had an animal in the house. Listen, if people have questions on a weekly basis, they listen to the show and they think, oh boy, I wonder about such and such. How can they get in touch with you, Rob?
Yeah, just give us a call, or you can go to questions@golfiteam.com, questions@golfiteam.com, or you can call us at 905-641-0308.
And you can listen to this show online through YouTube or Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast. Just search for the Golfi Real Estate Show, and you can listen to this particular episode or any previous episodes as well. They're all over the place, and there's always some great advice and some things that you might not have thought about. So until next week, Rob, enjoy the week, and we'll get together for the show next week. Thanks.
Thank you.